All right, am I streaming? Where am I at? Where am I? Hey, Rahul, what's going on? Can you see my screen? Can you hear me? Is there anybody out there? Let's see what's going on YouTube. All right, check it out. We're building a quiz today. I'm using the Superform V2 library, which Xatom or Virat has made. I played around with it just a little bit. It's pretty cool. So excited to dive in, but I'm still very much a noob. So glad that he's here to help me if I have questions. But today I'm going to build like a simple true-false question quiz here. Wait, I can't hear you anymore. I probably just knocked over my mic. It's showing here. Oh, that was deleted. All right, well, I'm just going to go ahead and get started. I'll monitor the chat here at the start in case I screw anything up. But let me introduce you to Superform V2. So these are the docs, which I know Demetrius has been putting a lot of effort into. So it's a way to build multi-step forms in Webflow. It's an attributes-based library. You're probably familiar with these by now. So yeah, I'm just going to step through. And it also has a JavaScript SDK, which I'm hoping to get to. I have a couple little things we might be able to do with that. So some ideas there, and nope, not going with any design, so it's probably going to be super ugly. But before I just keep rambling, let's go ahead and get started. So here's my project in Webflow. We just have normal page here, and here's my main wrapper, and I have one div sf underscore question. So this is going to be my question, and it's going to have true, false on it. And then I want to show a slide where it says the answer of like you were correct or you were incorrect, and then go to the next question, and we'll probably have like 5 questions or something like that. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm just going to drop H2 in here. And this I'll just say is question goes here. It needs to be longer. Just so I have some what's it called? Some extra long text. We're going to center the text in this thing. And let's just go ahead and provide one rem all the way around. I think all of our H2s should be smaller. I'm going to be doing some styling here up front, and then we'll get into the rest of the bits later. And now everything needs to be in a form here, so I'm going to drop in a form, and we'll drag that up here. And of course, the form has the form block and the form element. I'm just going to delete all this stuff that comes by default, and let's drop SF question right inside of the form there. So now hey Kevin, how you doing? So now our question is right in front of right inside of the form here. And now that I have the form, I have access to radios, and I'm going to be using radios here to make our true and false answers. So let's just drag that in there. Super ugly. I'm going to wrap that in a div, and this will just be called question underscore radios or radio wrap. And I don't want to spend too much time with styling here, so I'll try to move fast. True, and this is false. And we'll make these one rem, and we'll center those. One rem. And we'll just try to get Superform like initialized to start out. And from there, then we'll start customizing things like progress bars and I don't know, like step numbers, pagination, how the next button works, lots of different stuff. So, okay, we've got our true and false radios there. And I want to then drop in a next button. For this, I'm going to use a custom element. And we'll make this of type button. So the tag here is going to be button. And we'll flex that and center and drop in some text. So this says next. And I want this to be kind of down at the bottom. So let's go ahead. We will wrap this. Check the heading in there. We'll call this question underscore content. And this way we can space between everything here. I would prefer this, I guess, to be more in the middle. But for now, I think that's fine. Let's just give this something like 6 rem. And rather than make this 1-to-1, I can try something else. More landscape, like a card. All right, so we've got our true false, we've got our question, and we have a next button. I think that's most of the stuff we need. Hey Liam, how you doing? Thanks for popping in. Just building out a form here. So let's take question. This should be, I'm gonna do some components here. And so this will be a question. And let's go back. And the answer would just say, this obviously needs to unlink. And the answer was, I don't know, true/false. This is like the default, right? So, and I'll keep these class names the same for now. So we don't need the radios there, but we do want the next, I think it, yeah, we'll just keep it like that. So I have some questions and answers. Do I want to do those first, or do I want to get Superform initialized first? I think we have two, so let's go ahead and just initialize Superform here. And I think I made it a component too soon because I have some attributes that I want to maintain within the project here. So let's unlink that. I was wondering, WebBay, have you heard of Web Studio? Yes, I have heard of it. I definitely see it on Twitter quite a bit. I haven't used it. I get a lot of, have you heard of such and such a tool, where you talk about your tool and my tool on your YouTube. And in general, I like to explore and see them, but it's a time thing. There's another interesting one called Div Hunt that has some really, really interesting, what's it called? Interesting just principles of how they ship a website. So I recommend checking them out too. I've been meaning to look at them, but just hard to get time. All right, let's go ahead and set up Superform and see what we get. So, okay, this is just features and advertising. Sure, you can go to their website. It's deltaclan.gitbook.io/superform v2 docs. But let's go into the quick start. All right, so we need this script right here. Virat, I think, said he's going to update this at some point. They're still in beta right now. So let's pop into the home here. And it's deferred, so I'll just pop it in the head tag. Back to the docs, zoom in one. All right, so we need to add this SF attribute to our, they're putting it on the div outside of the form here, to your form container element. I would think it goes, I think in the video you're putting it on the form. Oh, it's on the form block, which is a div wrapping the actual form. So got it. I will put it on the form block in Webflow. All right, so we'll come in here, grab the form block, and custom attribute SF, we'll just call it quiz. And then I think we need to set up some steps. So yep, we have some steps. We can see this is called SF step. So I'm going to copy that, and then we give it a step name. There was some stuff about step. Let's go to step container. Yeah, some do's and don'ts. So step 1, step 2, and don't start with a number, so it's some JavaScript stuff there. Let's go back here. And so question is a step, and I'm going to give this a custom attribute SF step equal to, we'll call this Q1, and this will be SF step A1 for answer 1. And I think if we publish, we should be able to get something out of the box here. Yeah, Div Hunt. Check it. They have like a 30-minute video on how they're different from Webflow, and it's pretty cool. Question goes here. It needs to be longer. True. It looks like it's initialized. Check out console, powered by Superform. So script is loading. And if I click next, nothing happens. Probably I need to actually tag the next button. So I've already, well, no, I don't think I need to do that because it should know, right? Let's see. I think it's supposed to know off the bat. Navigation. Let's try it out. I'm not going to look at the chat because I'm sure Virat is already telling me what to do. we'll just set it up like this. And it doesn't make sense to give this next an SF go to next because there's no next for it to go to. There we go. We got our next slide here. So we've got that working. Let's set this quiz up. I think the next thing we should do, we'll add all the questions and answers, and then we'll make them components. And then after that, we'll get to like pagination and UI and all that kind of thing. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm just going to delete this for now because this is set up how I want it to be. And let's, rather than question, I'm just going to call this step. I don't want to confuse myself. Not that I don't think I will, but the other thing I would like to do is make sure these radios are in the same group. So they're in radio 3. We'll just call this Q or step radio. Actually, we'll call it Q1 radio. And this will also be Q1 radio. And I'm going to make these required. Because if I don't, let's go back here. If I refresh, I can click next, and I haven't filled them out. So I don't want that to advance. I want those to be required. So let's make sure that when we do that, actually I need to create another step now. So I think I got them all. Yes. Let's create component, step, create. All right. So now step radio. I think I want this to even not be present. Like this should maybe even go into a slot or something. So maybe I do want a separate component for answers. I think I will do that. But for now, let's just duplicate the step and make sure that our required flag makes that work. Back here. Okay. Oh, I broke it. Not a valid selector. Did I put these in a different group? Maybe it's because of that. Q1 radio, 1 radio. Maybe it's because I'm duplicating. Let's see. I might need to give those different names. Thanks. Checking the chat now. You caught my error. I want to try to work through it and screw some stuff up on my own a little bit first. All right, let me click that. So now if I click next, nothing happens. If I select, now I can go to the next slide. Great. And of course, next go to provides an error because there's nothing for it to go to. So let's hook up some props here now. All right, so this is the new property. We'll just call this heading text. These I don't think are ever going to change. I think like I would like to do a visibility, but if they're, I think actually Webflow gets rid of these server side. So let's see if I do this. And then let's do even some button text here. This is button text. Because what I want to do is like on this one, make on a question, make it submit. And on the answer, make it the answer like that. And then this should obviously have this as hidden. And let's put in another question and see what we get. Right. Might need value to be unique. All right, refreshing. False. Submit. The answer was false. And next, and I'm on to my next question. So it didn't prevent me from navigating with the radio hidden, and I'm pretty sure that is because those radios don't even exist because we set them to hidden. Yeah, I'm not seeing them in that div at all. So that's great. That's cool. I can use one component here for the whole thing, I think. Okay, what do we want to do next? Let's actually make this a functioning quiz. So I'm going to have 5 questions, or maybe let's do 4 questions just to keep it simple. And so this is a question and this is an answer. So I have 2 questions, 3 and 4, and here's an answer, 1, 2, 3. So I'm just going to start being a drag and drop hero now. This is this one. I think it goes there. It's this one. The worst drag and dropper there ever was. All right, so we have question, answer, question, answer, question, answer, question, answer. Great. That is good. And actually what we need to do also, let's edit the instance and we can give the button itself visibility too. So we'll call this button visibility so that on the last slide I can just turn that off. So let's select. Why does it think? Oh, that's that one. All right. Hey, Demetrius. Good to see you in here. We'll see how the docs perform, huh? All right, moving on. I just chat GPT'd some stupid questions about web dev. So we'll pop that in there. Oh man, now it's terrible. Of course, happens every time. There we go. Yeah. All right. We'll work on other stuff later. Don't get ahead of yourself, Keegan. Div. All right. JavaScript is named after the island of Java. These are all going to be false. Whatever. Phone. And I mean, we probably want one that would be true, right? This one can be true. God, I love the marquee tag. It goes so hard. All right, now let's take this style. This needs to be smaller. Okay. Now we've updated that. So here answer was false. I'm kind of like thinking about how I can, with no code, with the library, like take what the answer value is and display it here, probably using variables. I want to do it in JavaScript because it feels easier to me, but we'll see. Yeah, I used it on another project already, and it was great. There were only two things, but luckily Virat got me hooked up right away. So okay, so that's false, true, false, false. Okay, so that's the answer. That's the last one. What else do we want to do now? What's the next thing? I guess we should. I want to work on something easy before I go somewhere that I haven't been yet before. Thinking about doing like some pagination. Let's see what the docs say, and then I'll get into what Virat's got going on. Okay, so we looked at navigation. Obviously, there's some logic about how we can navigate. We looked at steps and we looked at the forms. So we're already diving into variables and this kind of thing. Cool. Let's think about kind of the step index. I want to, yeah, I like this for pagination and setting up what step we are on. So we know we have 4 steps. So let's go ahead and set this up now. And I'm just going to read through this. So we have this variable $S tracks the current step for reactions and manipulations, access the step count, and we can see that, you know, there's some logic going on here. So if the step variable is greater than 0, then we'll set step 1 to be active. If it's greater than 1, we can set that on. So that's how they're doing it here in the docs. So all I need to do is just kind of copy this. But the main thing about the difference between the docs example and my example is that I have questions, and I have question 1 and then the answer to question 1. So I need to do every 2. So where do I want to put this? Let's just drop a div here and at the top. So that's going to live up here. We'll call this form underscore pagination. This is going to flex to the side like that. And we'll give it 1 rem all the way around. Give it some sort of background color. Sure. And drop a div in there. This is form underscore pagination underscore bullet. And it's going to be, nope, I don't want to leave the site. 1 rem by 1 rem. Do I want it to be that big? Let's make it smaller, like that. All right, and then this gets the attribute SF React and class s greater than or equal to 0. It gets a class of isActive. Now, sure, so this is the first pagination bullet, so let's keep that. And let's duplicate this 3 times. And so the second one, actually let's give it a style so we can actually see what's going on. So I'll make the background color here kind of darker. Let's make it whatever this default button color is for now. This pagination needs some gap. Yep, and let's center everything. And then we'll give the isActive combo class to this one. And we'll just style this to be black, like so. All right, now let's grab the second one. And it has the same one, but now we want to say, so this is index step 1. So this is question 2. So what we want to do is say when s is greater than or equal to 2, then it gets isActive. This one will be greater than or equal to 4. And this one will be greater than or equal to 6. All right, let's publish that. Please keep inside form block. Let's see what I get. Let's see. So this is false. Answer was false. And yes, the pagination needs to be inside of the form block. I think everything has got to be inside. Does it need to be inside this one as well, or just inside the container? Hopefully just inside the container. It's actually where I meant to put it. So my apologies. All right, there we go. Pagination is working. We're on step 2. That's true. Answer was false. Boom. Now we're on the last one, or not the last one, the third one. And here we are on the 4th one. That's true. All right. So I think, yeah, we're going to need something new. But before we do that, let's keep playing around with this SF React, because what's cool is you can swap out text as well. And I want to show that one. So let's just plop in a text block right here. And we'll say this, we'll set the default to 0, 1. And this is going to be form underscore active step, something like that. Sure. And now let's bring the line height and the size down. It's not perfect. Let's just nudge it a little bit. All right. So that is our step number. Now we want to update this number 1 based on what step index we are at. So let's have a look at how to do this. I'm going to check something. Yes. Okay. So we know that every 2, we're going to have to do a little bit of math here. And that we have 2 slides for every question and answer combo. So what we want to do is get the step index, divide that by 2, and then add 1. So if we're on index 0, divide by 2 and add 1 is 1. Or if we're on step 1, which would be this answer, then we divide by 2 is half and add 1, so we get 1.5. So if we round that down, then it'll work. So let me show you what I mean here. What we'll do is we're going to give this its own span, and we'll just call this active index span. I'm doing really terrible naming here, but that's what it is. That's what happens to me on live streams. SF React, and we'll use this text function that they have, and we'll get the step index. Now, what do I want to do? I already forgot. Let's go back to the docs. So step index, and here they're using class. Let's see where that text, was it in variables? No, we don't want to go here yet. Where's the reactivity page? Reactivity, update text. Here's what we want. So we have SF React equal to text and then expression. And what is an expression? Sure, it's like a little, it's a little expression. You know, we can use less than, greater than, equal to. What we want to do is do some math. Let's see what is an expression says. Simple JavaScript snippet. Great, we can do that. So we can use math.floor or something like that. We can use foreign variables as well, which is pretty cool. So we could like get somebody's name and then inject it later in the form. But so we have, let's go back to update text. And so we need to provide our expression now. So the expression could be something like what did I say? The step index divided by 2 plus 1. And I don't know, I'm just, for whatever reason, going to get rid of those. And let's publish and see what we get. I don't think this is going to work, but that's fine. Okay, so we're on step 0, and we submit. Now we get step 1, and then we get step 2, step 3. So it's updating every time, and I don't quite want that. I think I want, what if I think it would be math. So for 0, divide by 0 plus 1. Should be 1, right? If we're on step 0, right? 0 divided by 2 is 0 plus 1 is 1. So then this would be step 1. For index 1, we would be 1 divided by 2 plus 1 is 1.5, and the floor of that would also be 1, so this should stay as 1. So let's see what we get. Maybe there was some like number to string conversion going on, which is why I was hoping it would show 1.5 or something like that. It's okay, we're still on 1, and now we advance to 2. Great. So this is very cool. And now we're on 3. And now we're on 4. Okay. I think the next thing to do is to like probably keep track of the user's score and display that at the end. So let's come back to here. And we're in variables. Now this I haven't played around with at all, but there's like a scoring variable. Specific, it's this $V. So I'm thinking I'm gonna have some struggles here, but I'm gonna work through it. So the scoring variable, track and rank scores dynamically for quizzes and interactive forms, allows you to track and calculate scores for quizzes and other interactive elements. All right. So they have this example where we declare first we have to initialize the variable, and then use radio buttons or any input element to allow selection. So we're going to have to, on each radio, put some sort of expression. So we'll add 1, basically, if the user gets it right. And yeah, maybe that will be. And then at the end, we'll rank them. And we'll tell you how it goes. Let's try it. So SF score equal to, I guess we'll just call it score. So that's this one that has my initial, and we'll call this score. And now Okay, we're in a component, remember? So let's edit. So how do I want to do this? Because I don't want everyone to be the same. I think I have to add it here. So we can give custom attributes. I believe we can set. Yes, we can. This is very cool. This is exciting. Let's let me double check the docs. SF score calc. And then the method is supplied there. So let me see how it's set up here. Okay, so the radio selected, and we're adding here. Okay. So SF score calc, and we'll create a new property, and we'll say radio score calc expression. And we're going to need that on the false value as well. So I'm probably going to want to rename this. And this will be false score calc expression. Default text will be add. We'll just make the default to be adding 0. And for the correct, we'll add 1, because that way you could do like a multiple choice. So I'm just going to copy this. And this is score checked 0, misspelled score. And we'll create that. All right, let me get into the property, all of the properties here. So props, true, score calc expression, and the default will be 0 for that as well. All right, let's get out of edit mode. And so this one, false, is the correct answer, so we'll change that to 1. For this one, false is the correct answer, so we'll change that to 1. And for this, 1. And for this one is going to be true. So let's set the true score calc expression to that. Now, something that also was really cool when I was just playing around with this was the debug mode. So let's go ahead and turn that on just so we have it. Where is debug? Here it is. We just have to put an attribute into the script tag. Just like this. Okay. Back here. And we'll add sfdebug, save that, and publish. What's going on in the chat? Do the HTML? Yes, they do. I actually prefer the HTML examples. I'd rather watch that than a little video, to be honest. Yep, libraries built for any platform. Webflow is definitely attributes based. The one thing that I do really like attributes libraries, don't get me wrong. My main gripe is that it's so easy to have a typo that that screws you over. So I know you guys have debug and a lot of stuff, but it's just the amount of attributes libraries I've tried to do stuff with and run into an issue with a typo. Yeah, that's my main gripe. Hey, Webbay, why the chilies? Good question. No idea. I should come up with a better story for that. Great. So let's refresh. What did I even do? I added score variable. So what I'm hoping can happen is that we have score here. So let's say this is false. And all right, we've got a debug, and score has been updated to 1. So I got that right. Awesome. And it's calculating the rank every time, it looks like. We have our navigation stack. We have the progress, the step count. Loving the debug feature on this. All right, and then we get to second question. Now let's say I put true here, which I know is not correct. Then I come down here, and we see the score. The score is 0. Didn't I already have a score of 1? So this is maybe not the total score, or that was the score from the last one. I would have expected that to stay at 1, because on the last step it was 1. Let's move on and see. This is false, so I would think my total score is 2 now, And this is true, so my total score should be 3. Come down to debug. Let me drag my face out of the way here. So score is 1. I want to see what the total, what the rank is. I'm afraid since group name is 1, score var not add for each step, it will override. You're saying because I'm using a component and all of these have this, all the radios have the same group name of Q1 radio. Is that why the score is not updating correctly? So it sounds like what I should do is unlink these from the component and test it that way. Let me check the docs just to make sure. The scores at each step change. Oh, look at this. This is good. If you see form data in group, you see on key and value pair. Let's try unlinking all these and changing the name. Does it keep my, I don't even know if it keeps my changes. It looks like it does, so that's good. All right. So now we want to change these group names. So Q1 is fine. Q2. Q2. Let's just test it for that. Yes, also unique value, since value of radio is radio not true false. Of course, labels are correct true false, but value needs to be updated. Not sure I understand. Okay. So score is at 0. This should be 1. What is my score? It's at 1. All right. And this should also be false. Submit. Now my score is 2. Okay, so that was definitely for that. So glad we got that taken care of. Unfortunately, we don't have the components anymore, but not the end of the world. Because it looked like I couldn't, there was no way for me to reset those inside of the component, from what I could tell. This is Q4. Okay. Now we really need to surface the last. So let's paste that in there, and we'll add one more form, or one more step. Oops, didn't want to delete the whole thing, just wanted to delete this. What is this button that's hidden? What's going on here? Let's add another. Span, and this will be total score. And now we're going to use the SF React V, I think it's like underscore rank, something like that we saw. Let's go back to the score variables right here. And V underscore rank of 0, that will be the top score. Here this V dot underscore rank, and up here is V underscore rank. I think you forgot the dot in the docs. V dot underscore rank and we're accessing the first item. You can use v.score. Oh yeah, because the we're setting the score value, huh? All right. Well, let's try this way, and then I'll try it the other way too. All right, so false, great, false, false, and true. And what did I do wrong here? Dun, dun. So that looks okay. Scroll down and see what score was calculated. Score was 4. Let's just try the other one. I already changed it, so let's publish. Yeah, it would be nice to change those, huh? False. I'm wondering if I didn't set up my reactivity. Oh, I need a text. I need a text. That's what I did wrong. Text expression. All right, like that. There we go. All right. Refresh one more time. Let's get one wrong and false. Actually, 2 wrong. All right, we've got our total score there. This is awesome. We're making good progress. It's been almost 45 minutes. I'd probably not go much more than an hour. I think we've done a number of cool things. What would be the main thing to... I mean, I need to update these answers. The answer was true. The rest are false. Yeah, I was thinking it'd be cool to like get the value of somehow, like based on what is specified as the correct answer in the component, like change the value on the next slide. But I think that's really unnecessary. It's a lot easier to just scroll to the slide and update it. So what else? Let's see the docs here. I mean, we did score. I guess a progress. I could show a progress bar. Oh, here's the thing on radio groups. I haven't even read this. Good that you guys have this. I will definitely read through some of this. I like I was thinking about going over like styling the radios themselves in this live stream, but I don't think I'm going to go over that. Basically making it look a little bit nicer. What do you guys think? Anything else you want me to show, or what do you have under prevent content flash? Oh, wow, we can just set an attribute. All right. No flash is used to temporarily hide a form while form is initializing. Yeah, okay. And then it just sets it to 1 once it's loaded. Let's set that up. I mean, easy enough, right? I'll take my easy wins when I can get them. Just drop that in there. Oh, I need to add the attribute too. Let's go back. Right? Put it on the form container. So that would be this one. All right. Yeah, no flash. So that's really good. Appreciate that. That was very easy. Oh, you know what we should do is we should explore the API. We should take a second to explore the API. Because that is very cool. So let's come to the Superform API, and here's the snippet to get started, and we can start accessing a bunch of stuff to get the form data, listen to when the form is submitted, state changes. So let's copy this, and let's just fire up visual. Actually, We just clear this and cd. We'll come into testing here, and we'll call this Superform, and we'll initialize our VS Code here. Zoom in, call this index.js, drop the code snippet, and now let's actually, I want to get the form. So how do we get the form? All right, that's how we initialize a form. Here we have get form of the form name. I think my form name was just quiz. So here's an example of how to do it. So let's grab that. Paste that there. This is quiz. And we'll call this quiz form. And let's see what we get. I'm going to wrap this in curly brackets. Let's go live. Okay, grab that. Actually, let's get this back in here. All right, and that is deferred, so I can put in like that. And there we go. Let's clear the console and refresh again. Great, we've got access to our form here, and we can see a bunch of stuff about the form. So look, it's got animation. It's set to just be the fade animation. That's something we could play around with. Here's the callbacks it registers. Default form display is block, sure. Here's the form elements and the container. We got our form name, input manager. You know, something that I experimented with was I didn't like that the next button is inside the form. So this is a good thing we can work on too. So the button re-renders every time. So we can use the API to basically make one button and make that go to the next slide in our quiz. All right, proximity context. Yeah, I forget what the best use for that was. You have to remind me. But here's a great way to see some more stuff about the form, and the view manager is the one that I want to tap into for this. So let's come back to Webflow, and I'm going to make a button be outside of everything. So let's, not a div, actually yes, a div. And so this will be after the form, but inside the form block, and we'll call this form underscore navigation. Okay, one rem on all sides, and let's drop a custom element in there. This will be type button, and it needs some text inside. Next, and it also needs some sort of color. Boom. So let's make it some sort of blue. And this will be next, or yeah, just next button. Make it 100%. All right, so we have our next button in there. Let's just give this an ID. ID equal to next button. And then we'll target that next button, and we'll use the view manager to advance to the next slide whenever that is pressed. So what I'm going to do also is our button 2. First, this will be inner next button, and we don't want this anymore, so let's just set display none on it for now. And the reason that, like, if I add sfgo to next on this, it won't work. I'm pretty sure. So let's see. So I wanted this one outside of the slide, so let's see what we get. Okay, now we have our button outside, and let me clear the console. If I click next, well, obviously I need to fill out, but nothing's happening. So that is kind of, it's a little bit of a bummer, because what if I want my I like it, the UI kind of persisting, whereas the slide itself is what changes. So let's I just want to add a little bit more color. And this, I was going to invert this, but I don't think I want to do that anymore. We'll keep that white. We'll just give it like a bottom border. Where are borders? All right. And then down here, rather than make it black, because that's ugly, we'll make that one, and we'll get this white background. Okay, so we have our next button, and we want to hook that up to the quiz using our API. So let's say const next button equals document dot query selector, and what was our ID? Was next button, I think. And now I'm just grabbing another reference over here. Let me make sure that that's the ID I gave it. Yep, next button. So let's get in our code. And what we want to do is we want to access that view manager from the docs. So let's go ahead and set that up. So we want to apply an event listener. So next button dot add event listener, and click. And we're just going to call this go to next step, like that. And we'll define a function go to next step. Let me make sure this is showing over on, yep, it is. And what does this recommend? Push, no, this is not what we want. Come over to the docs. I don't think the docs have anything on View Manager, to be honest. So let me check what I wrote in my notes. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll get that form. And we know that we have Superform API available here. So let's actually just delete this. And we'll define our function here. And we'll say Superform API dot get form. And we already did that. We already got the quiz. So what we'll say is we'll say quiz form dot on step change. So that's actually not on step change. We want to access the view manager. We saw that when we console logged here, right? View manager, and then dot go to, and we can pass a string of where we want it to go to, and we want it to go to next. So let's just read this out real quick. So we're waiting for the Superform API to be available to us. When we do, we push a callback that has access to this getForm function. We're using the getForm function to get our form with the name of quiz. We store that in this variable. We go ahead and console log it. And then we also already have access to our next button with the ID of next button. And we have a click listener on there. And when that is clicked, our view manager calls the goTo method with this variable, or not this variable, this parameter of next. So let's save this and see that we get our next button working now. So false, next, and we get to go to our next form, and you'll notice this doesn't re-render. So this is now persisting. Now we do have that issue where we would need to update the text, and we can do that in JavaScript too if we wanted to. We could say, let's go ahead and use the next button dot first child, and then we'll get the text content on that, and then we'll set that equal to, it's going to depend on what index we're on, right? So we basically would want to take the the index and, well, actually we could say, let's do it. This is funny. Get next button text. Sure. And for this, we'll pass actually the value of this text content as well. And then we'll define a function. And we'll just call this the text. And if text is equal to next, then we want to say submit. Otherwise, return next. This is a stupid way to do this, but yeah, we'll see if it works. So refresh. This should start as submit, right? So it's opposite. So I would need to go into Webflow, change this to submit. We're just flipping it. So Demetrius says, no need for API having next button outside of the step. Show me an example, because when I tried for 15 minutes and couldn't get it working, so would love to see that example. And now we have it working, but hey, it shows how to use the API as well. So it's just a fun way to see what the different stuff you can tap into. I could add another next button somewhere else and tap into the API that way. So I think that kind of sums up everything I wanted to go over. We made a basic little quiz here, and Superform is super awesome. Recommend you check it out. Docs, they put a lot of time into the docs. Virat is super talented. So thanks everybody who showed up and stuck around. And thanks Virat and Demetrius for walking me through stuff when I got a little stuck. So hope that was interesting, and I will see you guys in the next one.